Hey guys, this is the last episode with James Fitzgerald. We talk about mostly like flow state. If you haven't done any research on that, there's a lot of good people out there specializing in this. Basically, it's when you get in the zone, but talks about high performers and how they get in that zone and get set and get a ton of work done. And then we just do a little bit of BSing at the end. Hope you enjoy the last episode, and we'll see you soon. Share, like with high-performing people, like what is one of the top things that you see like most people doing or not doing? So doing, which will be good, like hey, this right here, that's what makes them successful, or not doing is like this is why they're calling me and having a hard time.
You're asking me?
Yeah, since you're the life coach, you're on.
I didn't hear him say Sharon, but he kept looking at me. Well, you probably have answers for high-performing people.
You take it.
You take it.
You hammer that one.
All right, I really wasn't listening to the question right off the bat because.
What do you see in high performance people? So successful people, what do you see delineates between high performance and low performance? Or what are some of those characteristics of high performance in any culture,
business,
position, job, whatever?
I'll take it back to what we've already talked about today in terms of priorities and alignment. In that high performance, James uses this term too, but there's this lack of perception. There's no perception when somebody is in that state of flow, in that flow state. And so when they're performing, they're not actually thinking about other things. It's just the task at hand and what's going on. So in that regard, I definitely see like a masculine essence in that moment, like in that very moment about performing the task at hand. But then what also happens, because it's in alignment with what they want to do, so you could say it's like a competition. And the example I used yesterday of that guy that tried to string more muscle ups together than he needed to, because he's running that tape in the back of his head in regards to, if I don't do well at regionals, I'm not a good coach. I'm not the big man on campus. I've made it there 5 years in a row. Oh my God, my whole identity is at stake here. That's what caused him to change the decision. And when somebody has none of those things operating in the background and they're just out there performing, there's zero perception, and then they just execute. And they used to talk about Wayne Gretzky in that regard, and that he would get you guys know who Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, we know.
Okay.
We're not Canadian.
Okay.
Good answer.
I loved his Nintendo 64 video game.
Okay.
It was amazing.
He was awesome on that too.
Yeah, I was so good on that video game. But they would say like he had no perception on the ice. Like he would just know where the puck was going. So his mind wasn't scattered and thinking about all kinds of other things. He would just show up where the puck was. It's like he knew where the puck was before the puck knew where the puck was. And he would just show up there. And I think he's just a really good example of that. But that is absolutely a separator between performers and non-performers. Because a non-performer is going to have all kinds of things running in the background. It's going to change their behaviors as they attempt to execute, but they're not going to be able to execute at the same level as someone with no perception attached to it.
Self-doubt and all that stuff creep in.
It's like a lack of self-awareness when you're performing.
I always say the ultimate thing is know thyself. And as
Socrates.
Exactly.
The Oracle in the Matrix.
And everything else. And now, Sharon Free.
Damn. 2016. Love that. So and that's a constant journey. Like that's dynamic, knowing thyself.
And thyself is all like you say. That's a changing.
It's an evolution.
It's hard to grasp that.
Yeah, it is hard to grasp that. It's like a muscle though too. Like getting into that lack of perception space. Over time, you can get there. You can't stay there though. Like no one can actually physically stay in that lack of perception space because you've got things happening all the time that come in. So you just that's why they call it like those moments of flow. And so if you time those moments of flow when you need them, that's when magic happens, right?
So like, what role do you think like I'm just kind of speaking from a little bit from my own experience in athletics, and then also from what I've seen, like what role do you think like just true virtuosity in terms of like the activity they're pursuing? Like I'm thinking of Wayne Gretzky. Like he started playing hockey when he was like 3 years old, and he was in such a, I guess, intuitive state of play where the fundamentals are so ingrained and such a part of who he is that he can have that it allows him to have that, like, go into that space. So like what, like how do you, I guess, how do you get to that, like that physical side? Like how does that physical and mental, like how does it sort of match up, I guess? Does that
They're
make
both
sense?
they're both arising at the same time, right? You've got to have that
Right.
physical component, because that's what you're using to execute. So all of those things need to be there. What were you
Right.
saying?
Right. Like how do you make sure? I guess how do you ensure that like those things are growing at the same rate? Like one's not getting ahead of the other. I guess. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like you may be capable of, like, let's say,
Getting in that flow state like that or whatever, or what?
like let's say you have an athlete who's capable of executing a complex movement. Let's just use muscle up as an example.
Power snatch?
But they're not able to.
And muscle ups.
Yeah, but they're not able to like go to that space where they can just they can just hop up there and do muscle ups. Or they're playing hockey and they can't just find, like, he's just going to show up in that particular space. Like,
Yeah.
they're thinking to get there. They're not just being in that moment.
Yeah. The talent code speaks to that. I think it's just, I don't know if there really is a timing of each of them.
Yeah.
But the way I see Wayne Gretzky, are people doing, innate potential performances, no matter what it looks like, muscle ups for the first time, whatever, is generally most times limited by themselves when they discover that they weren't supposed to do that many muscle ups in a row.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a timing really that's involved in how that all coordinates. I think we all create, social-wise and the culture of the gym, these expectations on what limitations are supposed to occur. That people don't even discover. We see it all the time. People put different colors on the bar. It's like, I've been working out for 2 weeks and I just deadlift 500 pounds. I never deadlifted before. So we create. So on the journey, and so I'm talking about young Wayne Gretzky further forward. He's just doing. There's no thinking involved. He has no perception. He's even it's just like robotic, And then over time, he starts creating awareness, right? And he keeps moving through that awareness by just refining his doing to a practice where now he's at a heightened level of awareness and he's doing, and that's called a flow state.
Okay.
So I think the timing of it, I don't know if it comes together, because we're trying to tie in like physical culture with emotional, and they're different times, I think, for that.
Right.
I just think of potential. I think the word potential, to piggyback on her stuff, is people have this innate potential, either physically or emotionally or spiritually, whatever the case may be. And what they're capable of is largely determined by their limitations. Based on their own limitations, what they think they can or cannot do. And the ones who are more successful are the ones that think less and do more. So that's really what it comes down to in the simpleton terms. Is that the more thinking you do, it makes you perceive more, which changes what you're capable of.
Right. So just it's kind of being present in that, being super present in that moment, and not being distracted.
And it's not wrapped up in intellect either, because the non-smartest individuals are the best physical performers, and that's well known, right? Well known, well researched, well documented. They don't have to write books anymore on it, and you guys know it to be true. Just talk to them or discuss things. It's not, and I believe the more intellectual they become, I think the worse physically they'll be able to express their
more
potential. Because now they're more aware of a lot of other things that cloud the space for, you know what I'm saying?
So it says who becomes louder, right?
It sounds a lot like unstructured play, almost, and we kind of talked a little bit
because
about
I think
play.
the fittest person is the most resilient person.
And, I
If you
guess
have unstructured play, that forces adaptation, learning. If you have learning and adaptation, whoever can learn and adapt the fastest means that they're the most resilient.
Right. And so the play, we touched on it a little bit this weekend. I guess one thing that I've been thinking of well, the Wayne Gretzky example is perfect. Also, soccer is my sport, so like Leo Messi, arguably the best player in the world. To your point, maybe not the most intellectual guy. I mean, you listen to interviews with him, and
No, I mean,
He's got a lot of potential.
We don't have to get names.
Like, it's funny that, like, when I power snatch, no fucking clue what goes on. And she's like, get on the bar, and it's there. I was like, what's going on? Have you ever read The Art of Learning by Joss Waitzkin?
Ooh,
Nope.
that's a good one.
It's a really good. He talks about getting in the flow state and like
Chess.
You can kind of train it into a ritual. So you're talking about Gretzky when he's younger. It's ritual over and over and over. He knows that ritual. He knows what he's doing, and he works with like high performance people, basically life coaching as well, and making them figure out a ritual. Like, hey, when you realize you're in that flow state, what got you here?
Yeah.
Write it down. Try to mimic that until you can do it.
Yep.
And one dude was listening to like doing two things and listening to Bob Dylan, and he can almost instantly turn on like. So it's
Yeah, this is
real.
named the leading guy in flow, Chick Manzali, I think his name is. He goes really deep into the exact same principles, so it's the same thing he discusses.
Should do like the human genome. Somebody does that out west. I can't remember
Yeah,
who does that.
not this guy.
Okay.
No.
I guess I'm trying to bring those ideas together. Though, is like the act of flow, getting into that flow, the act of play. Where does play fit in with mixed modal training and with your athletes? Like I had an idea.
On-site, one-on-one, very easy to do.
Yeah.
Online, very challenging. Group class, forget it.
Yeah.
Is the answer.
Well, we thought an
But
athlete
you got to
camp,
set the athlete up for it.
an athlete camp where you bring athletes in, and that's kind of, there's got to be some structure to it, obviously. But like it's like when you play soccer and you get together in the backyard, you're juggling, you're kicking around, you're learning new tricks, you're teaching each other stuff.
Yep.
Backyard football.
Where does that fit in with mixed modal training? Is something I've been thinking about.
A lot is. Yeah, I do it all the time. That's how I come up with. That's why I love CrossFit, because there's so much creativity allowed in designing mixtures.
Yeah.
If you want to think about it, it's boggling, mind-boggling, endless. So
It's infinite.
you know,
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So if I just have constructs, which is what I teach coaches, of a time frame and an idea of pace and what I want to get out of it, then I just put things into it that I want them to improve or I need to pick on to fix limitations in fatigue. So if I know, bending is a limitation in fatigue, grip endurance and jumping, I'll do box jump, toes to bar, and deadlift and pick loads, and then I'll have a play session with that person on site. Because I would do it on site all the time with athletes. Because I would just say, you're going to do 8 minutes of this, and then MWG, and I'll decide. So they'll do their strength training, they come and we work with it. And it's like, let's do 5 and then 10 and 15, and I'm going to watch you do it for a couple of rounds, and I'll change some things up based on it. They'll do it a couple of times, be like, no, that's not right, and they'll switch it or break it for 3 minutes and then do something else to mix with it. So I'm trying to get out of them the experience of like, we need to do this in order to create pacing, learn about this limitation, and then put that limitation right to its edge, where they're like, aha, this is where it's happening, like cognitive behavioral therapy. And then we're just in the fire, and now we're learning, and now all these neurons are fucking just developing these patterns and making it better.
Yeah.
So I think if there's any spot to do it, is in a individual design model where you can do that with people. It's so moving to watch people go through that.
No, that
Because
makes
it's
sense.
true play,
Yeah.
But then they experience like, okay, this is how I'm supposed to breathe, and this is what it should feel like, and it's really good.
That is good.
Yeah, but a design for structure.
And that's
you
coming,
gotta have.
that's coming at it slightly different than what I was thinking, but that's fantastic. I guess the other angle was you have a group of, let's say, intermediate athletes that still have some holes in their efficiency of movement, stringing muscle ups together, doing touch and go power things, whatever it is. I was seeing it more of an individual movement technique kind of play, where you have some higher level athletes or coaches in there and playing with movements. And at that point, maybe it just becomes coaching, and that's all it is. But I was trying to figure out if there was a way to take my history of soccer, where I feel like I did my best work when it was just us kicking around, juggling, and doing that sort of thing. And I felt like I grew more as a player doing that.
Yeah.
Then
You can't carry that over to CrossFit. Okay. No, because that's low. Because you forgot about the human and the impact of the skills that are involved in soccer, which is basically foot-eye coordination, hand-eye coordination, and basically agility, lower body agility, and then a base of aerobic potential, right? Not to make soccer sound really simple, but I play competitively, so I can remember what exactly I needed to be really good at it. CrossFit has like 1,000 times more intensity than that. So when you add intensity to that, it can't carry over. Because when you add intensity, it fucks a lot of stuff up.
Sure.
Then there has been gradients of intensity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you go to 65 pounds, maybe it's great, but 85 could be too much, starting to jam them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But a soccer ball is a soccer ball.
Right.
So that's why I see it not
that
carrying
makes sense.
over.
Yeah.
So you can really only create deep practice on skills and drills that have no CNS fatigue, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then we get into a fucking weird topic deeper down in that. It's like, why practice a snatch and clean and jerk with a low load? You know what I'm saying? So you're not even developing force. So you're doing the movement, but it's done for force development. So why are you just doing the movement? Because it's athletic? Or is there something else? You know what I'm saying? That's where it gets quasi deep.
Yeah.
That generally makes people in the room of program design go, what the fuck am I doing? You know, papers are in the air, and because then they start seeing
Let's take all those
it's all
assumptions.
envelopes underneath, and right in front of them, it's like, God damn it, you know?
I was just starting to grasp the other stuff, and then
Yeah.
I think you guys are probably asked about books and reading material a lot. The book you mentioned, The Art of Learning, Josh Waitskin, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I remember that.
I would definitely recommend that to both of you.
Okay.
Really fascinating. Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Bobby
There's a story in that you were talking about, when we were all talking about flow states. He was discussing how he'd get into these flow states and he was playing multi-board games. So he was playing a 50-board game against 50 like chess masters. And he would walk down the rows, make his way, making one move, then go back to the start. And he would just play all these games. And he said people would cheat because you leave the board for so long. But he said the way he knew it wasn't, he didn't walk over and go, you moved that. He would be in that flow state, and all of a sudden, like the flow state would just kind of crash or stutter, and he'd be like, something's wrong. And then he would work it back, and he would realize what they had changed on the board. It's really fascinating. So he's very big on getting into those flow states and what are those precursors and those cues. What do you eat? What do you listen to? What do you do? It's really fascinating.
Yeah, chess is James Taylor, one of our coaches, speaks about that all the time. And he carries it over in training. It's a deep conversation to have as to what goes on in the background for getting everything in order for 3,000 moves ahead, right? Like can you imagine that, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think that's what really good CrossFitters are at. I think they're like chess players where they can see 18 minutes ahead after 10 seconds starting.
Yeah.
And that's what we can't see. So they have this ability to know all the moves, everything that's required, the right core temperature, the right, speed of contraction on a pull-up, just how hard to breathe when they have to do something. They're timing it perfectly for the finish, and I think that's the separator between good and not. They transcend time, basically, which is what chess does.
Well, and Waitskin goes on to become a world champion push hands.
Judo.
Oh, cool. Champion. So he blends the
Tai Chi.
physical.
Tai Chi.
the cerebral
Yeah, Tai Chi.
chess.
There's two types of Tai Chi. One's like the art, and one's push hands.
Push hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really
Is
interesting.
there combat involved in that?
It's like I think you
Train it on movements.
Yeah,
and then you can't move your feet, and you're placed in a certain stance with the other person, and then you try to push them over.
Okay.
And so, very powerful movement.
Yeah.
A lot of balance, obviously.
Yeah.
talk about like overcoming like the cheating thing again. Like the judges were completely against him, and like if you get him out of his flow state, and he'd have to be like, all right, I got to get back in here and do what I know what I'm doing. Basically, it was really interesting, super interesting book.
Yeah.
Guess we'll wrap it up so y'all can get out of here. Unless you want to stay, then we can just bullshit all night. I mean, we got a king size bed. You can sleep in between me and Galen.
It's the camera will be there. Beard, me, like, yeah.
You don't need a
We're
blanket.
just like talking to the ceiling about everything.
It's like a girl's
Camera this way.
sleepover.
Yeah, I can totally see that video.
We're sitting at the end of the edge of the bed.
After 10 minutes, the camera goes. Oh, that would be epic. Wonderful, wonderful. See, just filled that in. That's why you're Entourage. Yep. That whole last
little bit there.
is what I believe in. You can do it. Try.
We're gonna be big on the internet. Don't worry. I think this internet thing is gonna work out.
We're going to completely forget about fitness and just be like YouTube stars. Have it real time.
Are you big in Japan?
Well, guys, this has been Chris Moore with Barbell Shrugged. See you next time.